This is a 2021 BMW M5 Competition, the end of most horsepower arguments at the barstool. BMW updated the M5 for 2021, giving it a redesigned and bigger kidney grille, new front and rear bumpers, and new L-shaped light tubes in the head and tail lights, which I'm pretty sure makes it even faster. My name is Robin Warner, an experienced engineer and magazine editor, and I'm ready to argue at the bar. No. The M5 Competition is the top M5 series you can get, above the M550i, xDrive, and standard M5 models. That means you get an extra 17 horsepower and a broader torque peak, as well as 20-inch wheels, a track mode, and these lovely black chrome quad exhaust tips. And 17 horsepower means the M5 Competition is powered by a twin-turbocharged 4.4-liter V8, producing a peak 617 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. That power then goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission and on to all four wheels. Unless you choose rear-wheel drive. You can choose rear-wheel drive? Yeah, you can choose rear-wheel drive. The base price for the 2021 BMW M5 Competition is $113,095, and my test car costs $141,045. For those that are interested, I included detailed specifications, including dimensions, fuel economy, and options in the description. All right, let's take a look around the car. Here it is, the 2021 BMW M5 Competition. This one is painted in Voodoo Blue paint, which is a $5,000 option, but it also reminds me of my Laguna Seca Blue E46 M3, a car which I loved, and that was the coolest, most beautiful blue I've ever seen, and this is awfully close. So all of a sudden, $5,000 starts seeming like a bit of a bargain. We also, because we have the competition car, we get 20-inch, not 19-inch wheels. They are right there, and there's a little bits that say competition. This has been updated for 2021, the entire 5 Series lineup, and that means we get a new, more pronounced kidney grille to look at. It is bigger, it's more textured. You know, these slots here go, a good 1.5 inches deep, and as you can see, they're closable. They have shutters on it, and generally speaking, I think that because the car has grown so much that it still works as a styling distinction for BMWs, and the black helps it blend in a little bit, so it's not super in your face, even though it is a bit bigger and more pronounced. Also updated for 2021, you've got new bumpers front and rear, and new headlight bulbs front and rear with these L-shaped tubes in here as daytime running lights, and they look super cool. This car is now 196.4 inches long, and it is a very big car. I do particularly love the carbon roof. I mean, it just looks so proper, doesn't it? It's just appropriate for a car like this. And one detail that really caught me is this right here, kind of like see-through side view mirrors, and I think that there's probably an aerodynamic purpose here to let airflow pass right against the door to give it a place, and then this just channels air a little bit more separately. I don't know, maybe this adds critical downforce, who knows. And then going along to the back, you've got this nice black subtle spoiler, and they're harder to see, but apparently those L-shaped tubes, light bulb tubes, are in back as well. It's easier to see with the lights on. And you've got this like nice diffuser piece and these gloss black quad tailpipes. Very real, very proper, very, very cool. And they make a good sound too, wouldn't you know it? Right there. And then there's this like little, still ultimately faux, but good looking diffuser. And again, M5 Competition. This car has presence, has real stature, even when you're just standing still. And I really like that. And oh, there's one additional clue I wanted to show you. Those are the carbon ceramic brakes mega stopping power and takes away some of the unsprung weight of the car. And you can tell they're carbon ceramics because of the gold plated, gold finished calipers right there, which are also not small. Anyway, let's take a look inside the car. And we will go back to front here just real quick to show you the trunk and the key fob. Look at that, all kinds of fun stuff there, right? No, nothing particularly special about the trunk, but nothing bad about it either. Here's your levers to fold down the seats. Totally fine. All right. Oh, and of course, buttons to close everything. Moving to the back seats. You do get rear sunshades. That's part of the executive package. So that's a nice feature to have. The sun's in your face, and right here as well, so you are totally covered. Seats aren't particularly spacious here, but I've got good thigh support down here, and you can see I've got decent knee room. My knees are bent right around 90 degrees, maybe just the tiniest touch more, but I could be comfortable in here for a little while. Standard in the M5 is 4-zone climate control. So here are your options here. And again, because we have the executive package, I have heated seats in back, not just in front. It would be a little tight. It would be a little bit more than a little tight for 5 passengers. But if there's just 2 of you, the 2 back here get cup holders. Lovely. All right, one thing to show you before we even get inside. Open the door, close it softly. Those are soft closed doors, part of the $3,350 executive package, as are front ventilated and massaging seats. There's the massaging button right there. Gives you all kinds of options for whole body, upper body, lower body, intensity, all that kind of stuff. I'll show you some of that in a second. Here's your trunk release right there. Hood release, gotta press it twice. And seat controls right here. Lots of seat controls, plenty of lumbar options, things like that. So it's really easy to make this seat just as you wish. You do get additional thigh support right here. That's this front one. That's always a nice feature to have. All right, but let's step inside. Yes, welcome. You've got a 12.3-inch instrument cluster display, and now updated for 2021, another 12.3-inch center console screen, touchscreen. That used to be 10.25 inches, a little bit bigger for 2021. You can see I've got lots of controls here, heated seats, ventilated seats, but again, separately, the massaging seats are over here. And then I've got lots of controls on the steering wheel. I've got shift paddles for the 8-speed automatic transmission, and I've got M1 and M2 buttons, and I've got those configured. I'll show you that in a second. We've also got cup holders and wireless phone charging right there, Qi wireless charging. There's your M mode. So the M mode has replaced the various different settings. It's kind of all done at once here, but you can still independently configure those things, and that's what the M1 and M2 buttons are for. And then here's your iDrive dial, things like that. But let's start this thing up. All right, sounds good in here. I do not mind that V8, not at all. So I want to show you the M menu to give you a better understanding of all the different things that can be adjusted here. So M menu, and I'll show you what I configured. So look at this: engine, transmission, chassis, steering, dynamic stability control, X-Drive, auto stop start, and sound control. So for M1, as you might have seen, I've got the engine on efficient. I like having a slow, more linear engine, and if you put engine to Sport or Sport Plus, you tend to get a really fast throttle map, really aggressive throttle tip in, so that feels like really good response, but it makes it harder to kind of like articulate and adjust the engine in the middle of a corner. So I tend to prefer efficient. But transmission, D3 is the fastest shift you got, and it's D1, D2, T3, or S1, S2, S3, and that's if you want to shift on your own. Chassis, Sport Plus, that's how firm the shocks are. steering. Sport, that's heavier steering. So MDM, that's like dynamic mode. So you still get some stability control, but you get less of it, a little bit less traction control. And as a result, I can do four-wheel drive sport. And four-wheel drive sport is, so BMW claims that the all-wheel drive system is always rear biased, but the four-wheel drive sport makes it even more rear biased. And if I take stability control off completely, I can also choose to go just straight rear wheel drive if I wanted, which would be a lot of fun. But for the roads I'm on, there's really no point. It's not like I have a skid pad to drift around in or anything. Anyway, so here are just all the different options you have. And this is the way I have my M1 button configured, or if I go to my M2 button, this is kind of like my let's calm down and just have more of a comfortable ride. That's what M2 serves for me. So there you go. But I also have this M mode button right here, and that just puts things in road, sport, or if I hold it down, track mode, and I have to activate track. Basically, that's an M5 Competition setup, and pretty cool to have. But I think the M1 and M2 buttons are even cooler, so that's where I put a little bit more of my attention. Anyway, all these things make this sound like a super cool car to drive. So let's go for a drive. Hi everybody. Here it is, the 2021 updated BMW M5 Competition. 617 horsepower to get you from point A to point B. Really, really not bad. I mean, for a driver enthusiast, for someone that has grown up just kind of enveloped in this car-loving world, the M5 is such an iconic name. Technically speaking, being an M5 Competition is actually the competition package on the M5. That means that you've spent $7,600 above the standard M5 to get this nice plethora of stuff. And all of it, well, you'll hear from the second. You get 17 extra horsepower, not bad, but not a huge amount. But you get that from higher torque peak, and I'll explain that more in a second. But you also get retuned shocks, retuned dampers. You get toe link ball joints instead of bushings. You get a firmer rear anti-roll bar. You sit 0.2 inches lower to the ground. You've got 10% stiffer springs, front and rear. You've got a sport exhaust. It's nice and loud for that 617 horsepower. You've also got a track mode because, you know, despite this thing's size, it's pretty clearly track capable. You've also got the 20-inch wheels instead of the 19s, and this thing called Shadowline lights and trim. And I'm not exactly sure what that is, to be totally honest, but I can tell you that the interior trim and lighting is lovely, so thank you. I guess it's Shadowline. And finally, you get these M seat belts, which are these nice little stitchings in the seat belts, which I certainly don't mind. And that's all great stuff. All of that is going in the same direction of more sporty, more direct handling, more direct feel. So this is the kind of car that does everything it does really, really well, despite its size. But clearly, the big number to talk about is 617. I know I've said it a few times already. I'll probably say it a few more times before this video is over, because that's so much horsepower. You've got a weight to power ratio of 7:1. So you're in a big sedan with better weight to power ratio than most any sports car on the market, right? You've also got 553 pound-feet of torque. So let's talk about that a little bit. 617 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, perfectly reasonable RPM to have horsepower peak, especially for a turbo motor. But 553 pound-feet of torque between 1,800 and 5,860 RPM. That means that this 4.4 liter twin turbocharged V8 makes peak torque for more than 5,000 RPM. That's like unheard of. That's like electric motor levels that you see in, say, the Porsche Taycan, or more appropriately, the upcoming BMW iX and i4 models. Basically, what all those numbers mean is that you get mega power all the time. And when you also pair that with a really fast shifting 8-speed transmission, I mean, you can only imagine this car is not slow. And of course, yes, I want to show you. And of course, yes, I want to accelerate in this car over and over and over again. So we have to do it at least once now. Let me show you. Okay, briefly slowing down. Bit of brake torque. Oh man. Oh. 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. V8 roaring, sport exhaust, very, very good. That will not get old anytime soon. That is epic acceleration. And you could have that epic acceleration over and over and over again, no problem. Throw some of your friends in the front and back, put some luggage in it. I'm sure the numbers will still be right there. Oh, that is not bad. But I want to do it just a little bit more. So I'm going to find a spot with a little bit more room, and I'm going to accelerate one more time. Go, go, go. Oh man. Oh. Wow. Oh, right? So good. I love that sound. That is just such a racy V8. It sounds like one of BMW's GTLM cars. It's got more horsepower than one of BMW's GTM LM cars. It's really, really good. And I could talk about that for a while, but there is more to discuss. We have to move on. I am sorry, but just rewind it over and over again. I know that I'm going to watch that a few times. But despite all that motor, this is still a very, very comfortable and ultimately luxurious car. So right now I'm in the comfort settings. I've got the lighter steering wheel power assist. I've got the softer settings on the dampers. And despite the fact that these springs are 10% stiffer than the standard M5, which already has a much stiffer suspension than the other 5 Series models, this is a perfectly pleasant place to be. It rolls down the road quietly, smoothly. It absorbs bumps well. The seats are plenty comfortable. I mean, I can get a massage whenever I want. I can cool the seats if I need to. I can heat the seats if I need to. I've got a heated steering wheel and 4-zone climate control standard on this car. So there's plenty of comfort here. You could easily soak up thousands of miles in this thing going across the country and just be very comfortable along the way, right? Okay, fuel economy would not be the best. You know, we're talking about what? 15 miles in the city, 21 on the highway, and I believe it's 17 combined. This car does get hit with a gas guzzler tax. You know, there's only so much you can do when you've got that much motor underneath the hood, right? But what I'm getting at in terms of comfort, quiet, luxury, this thing is a very nice place to be. But then I shift it to my sportier M1 setting, and all of a sudden the M5 Competition gets like impatient, you know, eager to hustle. And all the sportier settings make the whole thing come alive. Starting with the steering. The steering weight is perfect. You got plenty of precision and a fast rack to work with. And then the wheel itself has got this really beautiful soft leather and this nice fat rim, so it's really easy to get a good grip on. And then the body itself just tightens right up. You get very minimal roll and pitch and dive, so you've got great body control. And then I showed you these seats. They hold you in place really, really well. And they don't just hold me in place really well, they'd hold just about anybody in place really, really well, because they've got so much adjustability. You've got so much grip considering that you're in a big sedan. And then on top of that, this particular car has even more capability because it's got the 8,000 $500 carbon ceramic brakes. I showed you those gold calipers. Well, these things also weigh 50 pounds less than the standard brakes, and that's 50 pounds of unsprung weight that comes off the car. And then this particular car also has the M Drivers package, and the M Drivers package is a bump up of top speed. This car will do 190, and I'm sure that's still governed with 617 horsepower. See, I told you I'd say it again. So you get 190 miles an hour top speed, and on top of that, you also get a voucher to get some M driver training. So, you know, you get a little bit more adept at using that 617 horsepower. Used it again. What we have this thing, it's just like this mega manic split personality machine where you've got tons of grip and attitude and quick reacting ability in this car, but then you also can calm it down and have just this really pleasant, stately ride. It's brilliant. This car is insanely good. You know, it's obviously not cheap. You're paying for it, but man, you're getting a lot out of it too. But here's the irony in all of this. Even though this thing is proven to be plenty capable as a track car, I still don't see it as like a natural track car. You're still talking about a big car with a really long wheelbase and a curb weight of 4,345 pounds. It's just not a natural track toy, right? It's seriously capable, but it's still not where most people would go in their minds when they think of a track toy, right? So this thing will largely live on the road. And as a result, I actually think that my preferred M5 Series car of choice would be the M550i with xDrive, because you get the same size, of course, you get the same amount of torque, you just don't get it for quite as high a peak, and you get, you know, lots and lots of luxury for a huge discount in price, right? And how much of this 617 horsepower are you really going to use on the road? I mean, it's great, don't get me wrong, but it just seems like, it's going to be wasted most of the time. Then again, if I had enough money to buy one of these things and a track car, I'd probably be headed to the dealer. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you for watching. And if you are still watching, I'd really appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Those kinds of things really do help me out a lot. Okay, goodbye.
That sounds cool.